Thank you for joining me for another episode of How Does She Do It? My name is Tiffany and I am your host. And through this podcast and my coaching, I help you own your story, live fueled by faith, and elevate your impact in your career and in your calling. If this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your third, fourth, fifth, or 150th time listening, welcome back. I am happy to have you. I'm not going to do adjust my thoughts this week. If you have been listening to this show for a while, then you know that that is something that I used to do or that I have done. But considering all that has happened, considering the amount of time between now and my last episode, I just wanted to just jump right in it. I am coming into my own. I am experiencing such a different phase of life. I am so blessed in so many different reasons, for so many different reasons. I'm blessed in so many different ways. I started this podcast in 2015, and I started it when I was very, I'd recently turned 30. I started the podcast in September. I turned 30 in May, and I am now about to turn 40, which is crazy. So I started this podcast almost 10 years ago, and I started it because I was trying to put into words some of the things that I was actively learning and experiencing in this new phase of life, which at the time included really starting adulting. We didn't call it adulting then, that's what we call it now. But I was like, I was a what they call K through JD, where I went from kindergarten all the way through having getting a law degree. And I didn't take any breaks between school. The only breaks I had was the breaks that were assigned by college, by school between starting one semester or program and between ending one program or semester and starting another. So I worked in the summertime and I did all the things. And what is so much has happened and changed since then, where I am now at a place where I have experienced a lot of transition. So many of us were forced to reevaluate the way we lived our lives when 2020 happened and all the things that happened in 2020. And since then, I have been on a beautiful and complicated and hard and joyous and amazing roller coaster of, you know, starting a relationship, getting engaged, getting married, buying a house, finding out we were pregnant, having a baby, and now, being the mom of a 1.5-year-old, being married for almost 3 years, and having just experienced professional gain, professional struggle, and all the things. And so I really just wanted to come back to acknowledge the complexity of being grown, the complexity of trying to be a whole woman while you are navigating the very real lived experiences of that can pull you in two different or multiple different directions that can feel like you're experiencing the extremes of different emotions. When you are a believer in Yahusha, believer in the Bible, you know that we are encouraged to count it all joy when we fall into various trials because the testing of our faith produces patience, and let patience have its perfect work so that we lack nothing. Meaning, that comes from James, meaning that the objective is for us to be matured through the challenges that we experience. And counting it all joy doesn't mean you feel happy, but it means that you're able to see the value of the difficult time that you're in. It doesn't make them times less difficult, but it creates a perspective that you hold as you're going through those experiences. And so, as I have experienced some of the challenges of the last year in particular has been pretty difficult. I have also experienced so much joy. I've also experienced victory. I've also experienced faith. I've experienced what it means to go through the refiner's fire and come out cold, right? I have a different appreciation for the story of the three Hebrew boys who went into the fire, and everyone was able to observe a fourth figure, a fourth person in there with them. And when they came out the fire, they didn't smell like ashes. They weren't singed. They were fine. They were more than fine because now they had a proven testimony and experience that told them that not only were you carried through this experience, but you now have demonstrated to the world that you were carried through this experience by the Most High, by Elohim, by the creator of all things. And that being able to have your own personal testimony that then is able to shed light for others is why we live this life. It is why I have spent, whether I was recording or not, so much time processing my experiences so that I would be able to come back and offer something that is valuable to you all, that can encourage you, while acknowledging that even while you've experiencing something good, you need encouragement and it's hard at the same time. There is so much existence at the both ends. There is a culture that tries to force us in one direction or the other. There is an attempt by the enemy to have us be identified by the things that we go through or the experiences that we have. A lot of people, and I'm not talking about those with clinical diagnoses, but I have anxiety, or you are anxious. Having something and being in a temporary state of something are two very different things. And so I just wanted to drop just a note to come back, a note to welcome you back, a note to welcome myself back, and really move through and move forward. My prayer and my hope is that you will find me back in your subscription, find me back in your podcast feed. I will also be posting to YouTube, trying something new, like we all trying to do. And so I hope that you will find me there. And in the interim, I hope that you stay encouraged. I hope that you reach out to me. I'm on Instagram still at Tiff South. I am on YouTube at Tiff South as well, Tiff with two F's always. Even though my last name is not Sutherland legally anymore, my handles are still South for the Sutherland. And I am really grateful that if you are hearing this, that you are still here. And if you're new, I'm so happy to be connecting with you for the first time. As I look forward to continuing to share, continuing to produce, my goal is that you reach out. My goal is that you share things that I might be able to cover. As you may not remember, but if you go back and listen to past episodes, I am a coach, and my objective is always to help professionals, particularly women professionals, who are navigating the intersection of personal and professional development, who might be trying to figure out how their values are aligned or not aligned with the current role that they're in or the current way that they're working and showing up in those roles. And so as we continue forward, expect to hear perspective and advice and recommendations from that perspective as well. But as always, I am rooted in scripture. I am rooted in believing in the Most High. I'm rooted in believing in his son, Yahusha, Jesus, the Messiah. You may hear me reference this same person with different names. But know that I'm talking about the man who lived, died, and resurrected so that you and I might have life and have life eternally. And with that, I thank you for listening to episode 150 of How Does She Do It? Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing. Peace.